Okay, so it looks like we're live. What's up there, YouTube land? Hopefully you can see this. We seem to be very whitewashed this time around, huh?
Yeah, it needs an...
I need to turn down my lights or something.
Well, it's supposed to adjust. It should automatically.
Yeah, it should automatically, but I don't know if it's gonna...
This is the angelic studio.
Eric's got a halo tonight.
I'm pretty whitewashed.
Yeah.
You look good.
I try. How many cameras are on me, for crying out loud? Jeez.
3.
That's working. That's all good. Okay.
Yeah, we got everything.
We got it all. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. I'll switch it to time so we know how much time we're doing. Thank you, Eric, for reminding me to... Okay. We good?
No.
Uh-oh.
All right.
You need to make earphone adjustments?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, folks. Welcome to this episode of the GalaxyCast. I have with me 3 people in the studio tonight. I have with me Eric the Artist.
Happy holidays.
I have with me Gary the Stud.
Bah humbug.
And I am Bob Crispin, your host, better known as Mickey Mouse, because I don't know what to call myself anymore. Hello, welcome to our show. So,
that'll do.
Yeah, suddenly Disney wants $8 million from us.
I know.
We have a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm going to get right to the point. We're going to talk about Jason Mamoa performing the Haka. We're going to talk about the latest trailer for the Bumblebee movie, which I believe is coming out this weekend, correct? Next weekend, okay. The trailer for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. The trailer that everybody I know is waiting for us to talk about, which is Avengers 4 Endgame. That's right, we have a title now. And then we're going to talk about the newest announcements of the cast for The Mandalorian. So I don't know how many people, were online or watched online when Jason Mamoa went to Hollywood to release his movie for Aquaman, but they decided at the red carpet to do the Haka. And I gotta tell you, it's not often I'm impressed with the Haka. I mean, I've seen it a lot. I think the most impressive one is watching the soccer team do it together. That was pretty scary. It was like, wow. When you see that many guys doing the Haka together, it can be pretty impressive. Every time Tem does it, it scares the crap out of me. Just because it's Tem, and Tem is, Tem. But I gotta admit, Jason Mamoa, that was not only, imposing, but it was incredible. And I was highly impressed with not only the fact that he learned the Haka, but the way they did it. I love the fact that he broke the staff for Aquaman over his leg to start it out.
It's a trident.
A trident, thank you. You're right, it's a trident, not the gum either. So, it was impressive. It was also scary. A couple of the guys in the background, I'm looking at their eyes, and it's like, whoa. Their eyes are bugging out of their head and everything. And I know that's part of the Haka, but I thought it was a great thing to mention just because it was so cool. It was so awesome to see. It was
really neat.
I just, I'm impressed with the Haka every time I see it. I can't explain it. There's something about it it's not just intimidating, it's kind of fun to watch. And I don't know how to explain it to people who've never seen it. So if you get a chance, just go YouTube. I think it's just Jason Mamoa. I think that's what I put in, right? Jason Mamoa Haka.
Yeah, the title of the video is Jason Mamoa performs Haka at Aquaman premiere. If you're going to be specific. But.
Yeah, on YouTube. But I think if you put Jason Mamoa and Haka, it'll pretty much show up.
So looking at the energy of him in the cast here.
Yeah.
And what have you heard about the movie so far? Because reviews are out now.
I haven't heard much. That's the weird thing, right? I don't know.
I've heard basically 2 lines of thought. One, it's entertaining and good. Not as good as Wonder Woman. They keep saying using that as the DC.
The level. Yeah.
But they say A, it's good, it's fun, or B, it's not a great movie, but he does well. So people seem to be liking him a lot.
Right.
And they say he brings a lot of
energy to the character.
Character, charisma, all that to the role, and that some people think the movie's fun and some people don't. But universally, I've not heard him being bad. So. Right. It could be worth a see. I don't know.
I haven't heard any oh my gosh, you got to go see it. You know what I mean?
Not
that's
that, no.
And normally by now, because it's been out for a week, right? I think, right?
No.
Or did it start this weekend?
Comes out next week too.
Does that come out? Oh, so Bumblebee and it are against each other?
Yep.
Oof. That's a rough weekend.
Yeah. This weekend is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of then.
And I've been hearing nothing but universal praise for that.
I'll agree with you. I am not actually. Everybody's encouraging me, even though I've said a million times I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan, and I didn't know, and like everybody in the superhero alliance of Western New York's been telling me like, go see it. Oh my gosh, go see it. So like I'm gonna try. I'm hoping.
I told Mary I'd like to try and get out and see it.
I'm hoping over the holiday break maybe I can convince one of the kids to go with me and see it. You know?
I think it's what are we, a week and a half out from Christmas? I'm willing to bet it's going to be in the theater to New Year's.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
I don't think these other movies are going to necessarily push it out. I think we're going to have a glut of genre movies in the theaters over the Christmas break.
I agree with you.
Because you're going to have Bumblebee, you're going to have Aquaman, you're going to have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The movie I actually want to go see, Mary Poppins Returns.
Same here. I'm excited about that.
And I've heard good things about that. People are saying that it's really well done. So
we're doing Mary Poppins Jr. at my middle school as our musical. So I want to go see it just because, like, it's kind of the inspiration, you know what I mean, at this point. But at the same time, I'm looking at the cast. I'm looking at what I've seen of the trailers. And
they caught the feel. They really are being true to it.
And the fact that they brought on board, who's the original...
Dick Van Dyke.
Thank you, Dick Van Dyke. They brought him back on board, and I was kind of like, yes, like somebody finally got that's important to bring Dick Van Dyke on board. So I am excited about it.
You've got all those movies that are going to be out on Christmas Day. You walk into the theater, you've got choices.
You have some serious choices.
If you're into these kind of movies.
Well, yeah, the geek world has choices. I guess that's the best way to put it. So check out the Haka if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet. So the next thing we wanted to talk about, this. I don't know where to begin with this because I just saw this the other night for the first time and it impressed me from the moment, like almost from the minute I saw it. Now I'll admit the first Bumblebee trailer kind of had me like, And then I watched this one and it was like, wow, okay, now I kind of feel like I've missed something here. Like, this is the trailer I missed all these years. You know, not only the trailer, but it's making me wonder if this Transformers movie is the first Transformer movies that should have been. And we're talking about Bumblebee, by the way. What did you guys think of this trailer? I mean, as far as like the quality and what you're seeing and the possible storyline, how does it work for you guys? Gary, what do you think?
Well, I actually wanted to see it right from the get-go. I wanted to see what they're going to do with Bumblebee. At first, I was like, why you just sing on him out?
Yeah.
But then I see the trailers, it's like, it's not really just him.
And that's what I was going to say, like...
And it's the generation of one Transformers, too. So that's the other thing.
Maybe that's the thing that's grabbing my attention, too. Like, when I first heard they were doing a movie about Bumblebee, I admit, that was my first reaction, was like, why are we choosing Bumblebee? Like, why not Optimus Prime? Why not, any other character, for that matter? I know I hit the wrong button. Why not any other character? But why there's so many people you could have chosen to be the star, and you chose Bumblebee, and I was kind of like, But then, as they're getting into this trailer, the more I'm watching it, the more I'm like, yes, like, now I get why you chose Bumblebee. Like, it totally makes sense to me now, and I'm kind of liking where they're going with this. Eric, what'd you think of the trailer? I mean, like, what have we seen so far? And
well, I gotta admit that I'm not a huge follower of the Transformer movies.
Okay.
They lost me early on. It just I wasn't a fan of the humor. I wasn't a fan of the overdone action, the length of them, where it was just like, it felt like a ton of padding, So I've actually not even seen a couple of them. Maybe someday I'll do the same thing I'm planning on doing with the Fast and Furious franchises. I'll watch all the Transformer movies and I'll live tweet them as I do that too. But that might kill me.
Did you do your Fast and Furious?
No. I'm hoping to do that over Christmas break.
Okay.
But, so, I will admit, this looks a bit more, I guess the best term I could put is streamlined. Mm-hmm. I always felt like the Transformers movies, from what I saw of them, they felt overstuffed. It's like Peter Jackson type directing when he's given too much free reign, and he does too much, and you're like, okay,
you're talking about his King Kong?
Yeah, you're overdoing it. We get it, and not just King Kong. He's done it with some other movies.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's the one I always comes to mind when I think of that.
I like him as a director. I get it. He's like, I just want it. You got to get your money's worth. These movies have to be bigger than all other things. But sometimes less is a little more, and it really gets you. And it gets you emotionally. Whereas if it's overstuffed, it's tiring. And that's what the old Transformer movie series felt like, especially as they got into the later ones. This looks, like I said, streamlined. It looks like it's a more focused story. We're seeing a lot of robots, but I'm not seeing a lot of, it doesn't seem to be getting out of It doesn't seem it seems to have a focus,
Right.
in both story and in visual form. I mean, they seem to have simplified the robots down a little bit in terms of their visuals, because the old robots, I think they were trying to over impress you with like every little feature that could move and intertwine and whatever.
Right.
And these seem to be a bit more designed to be functional. I like those things that I'm seeing. So whether or not I'll see it, I don't know. But the trailer looks better than the other stuff I've seen.
I'll tell you what I don't like about the Michael Bay version, and you're starting to hit up on it. None of the characters looked like the Transformers they were supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, even though it was Optimus Prime, it didn't quite look like Optimus Prime, especially when he was in truck form. I was always like, is it? Oh, wait, that's right, he's metallic. He's not just painted to look that way. And then the bad guys in particular. And then it got to a point where I think beyond, what was it, Dark Side of the Moon, I think is the one that kind of like, to me, ended it for me, because once they started getting to a certain point, I couldn't even keep track of who was who. Like, which Transformers are in, which ones are out, what generation are we looking at? Oh, look, it's the dinosaur ones, you know what I mean? Like, but they never looked like the ones we watched as kids on a cartoon. And what I'm talking about is, like, they didn't even try to make them look like them.
They were over-production design.
Right.
That's what they did. When you saw Megatron,
right,
for example, even in the first one, you had to look really hard just to see his face, because he was so over-designed.
There's so much stuff inside of it, yeah.
That you lose, and that's what I'm talking about, you lose focus. When your visuals are that packed in every inch of the frame, you can't focus on anything. It's overstimulus. And I didn't like those designs.
Yeah, and that's what's got me excited about this one, because not only can I recognize Bumblebee, which, okay, I can recognize Bumblebee, but Shockwave, like, grabbed my attention. Who was the other one that I said?
Soundwave.
Soundwave grabbed my attention. You know, it was like, and they looked like the Shockwave I grew up with, the Soundwave we grew up with.
I just want to know how they're going to justify
the
a tape cassette player on an alien planet. Unless it's, they got
maybe
a
it's
signal.
A DAT recorder.
I mean, that's the thing, is they could get TV signals, see things, and visually duplicate them from a time frame. I mean, you could have a Model T Transformer.
Right.
Just because that's the signal they got at the time.
Right.
That's what I liked about the last Transformer movie before this one, is they gave a big backstory on Bumblebee.
Right, they did.
For this movie.
Oh.
Because he was a World War II agent fighting for the Allies. And
they went into all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where he was in an actual German armored car back in World War II.
And that was the only good part of that movie. That's, and I think that's what kind of was the precipice behind this one. I thought it was interesting, though, the pick for the cast. Now, the girl's kind of she's known in the Disney Channel, not much else. But the main character...
Well, I know her from the remake of True Grit.
Right, True Grit. That's right.
Oh, was she the girl in True Grit?
She was the girl in
okay.
True Grit.
Okay, yeah.
I forgot about that. Thank you, Gary. I forgot about that.
I like that movie.
But to cast John Cena, I thought was kind of
interesting,
a bold move. Cena's kind of hit or miss.
And from what I've seen so far, he's not over the top.
No, and that's what I'm surprised at. Like I said, Cena's either hit or miss, right? Like, normally I watch a John Cena movie, and I'm either like, oh, wow, he's pretty cool in this, I like it, or it's like, oh my gosh, he's like cardboard. Like, it's like, at times, because he's a WWE guy, I mean, like, at times he's very cardboard in the way he acts.
He was actually really funny. I saw that Amy Schumer movie with John Heder.
Yes.
I can't think of the name of it now.
I can't either, and I know what you're talking about.
It was actually a fairly
really
funny movie.
Yeah.
It's a simple romantic comedy, whatever, but it was pretty funny. But he was hilarious.
He was.
I mean, he was willing to do humor that really...
And he played a great straight man.
Yeah, and he played the straight man, but at the same point had hilarious lines.
Yes.
So, I mean, I like him sometimes. And like you said, he seems to be modeled to this role. He's not overdoing it. He's not coming in as a over-the-top bad guy. He's playing the role. Which
I like. I'm actually, like I said, I had no interest in this movie. When the first information came out about Bumblebee, I was kind of like, and now that I'm seeing some of these trailers, like, to me, these trailers should have come out months ago. Because then I would have been paying a lot closer attention, going, oh my gosh, that looks like my Transformers. I got to go see this thing. Now I'm kind of scrambling, going, can we go see it? Originally was not interested at all.
Like I said, a lot to fit in this holiday season.
I absolutely agree. So that brings us to our next trailer, and this one I just saw myself tonight, so I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I gotta admit, I grew up with all the B horror films, watching. I mean, I know you guys did too. I'm sure you watched the old black and white.
Godzilla was my Saturday afternoon. If I could catch a Godzilla movie on, USA or Channel 11 out of New York. For us, it was that channel.
PBS
even would have things. I would watch those Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. I'm sitting down. I know what I'm doing for the next 2 hours. Even if it was one of the horrible ones, I'd watch it.
Well, it's funny. Like I've told you guys, I've been watching MST3K, and they had on the other night or the other day. I was watching. I'm in season 8 now, so I think the opener for season 8 was Creature of the Black Lagoon, but it was like Return of the Creature. It was the second one of the Black Lagoon movies, and I laughed because I was like, I remember them re-showing that movie at our local drive-in where you could buy the 3D glasses and they'd made it 3D, you know, and you could, that stupid red and blue 3D dimension thing of it. And I just, that, you know, but this reminds me of the old black and white Godzillas from back in the day, but modernized. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, Mike.
Well, I think this is going to be what everyone was expecting the first Godzilla movie to be.
Yeah,
like when the first Godzilla movie came out, I was excited because I'm a big fan of the director, Gareth Edwards, who went on to do Rogue One.
Right.
And unlike a lot of people, I liked his approach. Mm. He took the Jaws approach, which was keep teasing until the big battle happens.
Right.
He kept cutting away. He kept doing odd things. People didn't like that. I enjoyed it, and I got a kick out of the movie. I just let it wash over me until we got to the big battle. And I remember it was like fist-pumping moments the first time. He'd set it up so well that when Godzilla's finally shot out the atomic breath, I wanted to stand up in the theater and like, yeah! It was like he really built it well.
Right.
People didn't like that. So now with the sequel, we're very clearly getting the monster battle royale that everyone wanted the first one to be. Which I don't think it could be. I think it needed to build to this. Now we had the first one, we had the introduction to the world, we got Godzilla. Let's go ahead and go exponentially bigger, and we're getting that in this trailer.
I'll tell you what my issue was with the first one. It wasn't necessarily the build-up per se. To me, what was wrong with the very first movie was the fact that the bad creature that Godzilla faces was not one of the famous known ones, right?
They made it up for the movie.
To me, if they'd used Rodan or something like that, I might have been more into that final battle.
I have a
so
feeling
it was like you built up, and you get to the final battle, and I'm just kind of like, it seems like a know-nothing creature.
I feel like I have a feeling there were copyright.
Do you think that's what was going on?
Holding it back. This was the first American version of Godzilla that was allowed since the '90s.
Yeah,
version
something like that with Matthew Broderick, right? Which to me is a dinosaur movie. I don't care what anybody says.
And that movie also had none of the other famous monsters. It really, you could argue, didn't even have Godzilla in it. Right. So for them to get the rights back to make another American version, I think it was very limited.
Right.
And so they had to kind of create their own creatures.
Do you think that was like a test market to see would it be marketable here?
I think it was Toho's or whoever owns Godzilla's name.
Right.
It was their litmus test for the Americans to see what they could do.
Yeah.
Because we know Godzilla is alive and well in Japan. It's not going anywhere. It's been alive and well. Right. How many Japanese movies have they had even in the last 3 years? There's been like 5,
I know they had Shin Godzilla, but now I'm hearing they're not going to do a sequel to Shin Godzilla.
Okay.
Right.
They're moving on to another storyline
right.
with Godzilla. Again, they're going to do their own.
Yeah.
But they keep theirs. The ones from Japan are kind of separate than the American version. This is its own universe.
I've also heard they're thinking of reinvigorating Mecha Godzilla again and bringing it back. And
I've had people wonder, are we going to see Mecha Godzilla in this? I'm like, I
don't think
much
so.
Of a jump.
Yeah, that's way
We're not at that technology yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe set in another 30 years from now.
Yeah, right.
But Gary, you came up with a good point of what you think this is leading to. Well, we know what it's leading to, but go ahead.
I think the big battle at the end of this movie is going to wake Kong up and have Kong come see what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Come off his island onto whatever's going on here.
Because we know that Godzilla vs. King Kong is already under production.
Yeah.
So that's not a secret. People know that's coming, so they've got to lead to it.
So are creatures in this movie, because we've already kind of figured out most of them anyway. There's one, right, we're still kind of not sure about.
They've said there's five, but we've
only seen 4. Okay, so I mean, obviously Godzilla, King of the Monsters. We've seen Rodan.
Yep, he's the bursting out of the volcano. I like that touch they've done where he's flaming as he flies around.
I'm hoping they're keeping that all the way through. Like every time he flies, he kind of fanning the flames, or however you want to look at it. We see King Ghidorah, which is the 3-headed monster.
That's the only monster that's ever been able to really stand toe-to-toe or beat Godzilla.
Right. Has he actually beaten Godzilla?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I missed one somewhere along the way.
In fact, one battle, it took Rodan, Mothra,
took almost all of them,
and Godzilla all fighting King Ghidorah. It was kind of like an
bring him
battle.
down.
Yeah,
I remember that one. I've seen that one. God, You guys are bringing me back to my science fiction club back in middle school here.
Battle Monster Island, I think it was.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah. And then we've seen Mothra. We've seen,
and then Mothra was the fourth one.
Mothra was the fourth one. Thank you. So and Mothra looks interesting. Mothra reminds me of the very first versions of Mothra we saw way back when.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I know in Japan this isn't the case, but the Godzilla we're seeing is all CGI, correct? Not a guy in a suit.
I believe
right?
everything we're seeing is CGI.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all a model.
But in Japan, they're still using the guy in the suit, aren't they?
Yeah, they mix it. I think Shin Godzilla was a mix of both.
Okay.
Because I actually watched a making of, and I was surprised at some of the sequences.
Right.
They did the whole, where they kind of peel back the layers of the effects over the shot, and they peeled out Godzilla down to the model and the musculature. I'm like, I thought that was a suit scene, but that was CG.
Okay.
So there was definitely a mix, but they still want to lean towards guy in suit. They like that.
Do you think that takes away from Godzilla when we go all CGI like this? That's the only... Like, when I look at these things, even though I like the look of them, and I think it's awesome and amazing, and of course it's bringing back all this stuff from my childhood, and I'm sure my parents' childhood, realistically speaking, but do you think it takes away from Godzilla not having the guy in the suit?
Yes and no. Because I think we're doing it the right way by making him look like Godzilla and not changing him up to make him look like an iguana, like the last one was.
Or a dinosaur. I still think that movie was created as an answer to Jurassic Park. I don't care what anybody says it really was.
You just had, this is the exact point I wanted to make. The CGI of the Godzilla from the Matthew Broderick movie, with the kind of iguana-shaped, face and head and body, couldn't be a person in a suit.
Right.
The shape of it was physically
too
impossible.
Weird. Yeah.
But this one, even though it's CGI, has the shape of could be a guy in a suit.
Right.
And the fact that they've done that with CGI keeps it feeling like Godzilla to me.
Yeah.
So I like that that's the design choice they made.
It sounds weird and dumb, but I almost want the thing to kind of like... When Godzilla walked, if you ever paid attention to him, he didn't just walk. He kind of like hop walked, right? Because it was a guy in a suit, and it was awkward to move that suit.
Well, the more and more,
you know what I mean?
It's so fun to watch the documentaries on there,
right?
Because the more and more the movies progressed, the more the guys in the suit tried to work in. They started doing like Japanese sign language with his arms and stuff. Signals Godzilla would do and everything, and the jumps and the celebrations and everything they worked in. It went from just it's a monster
to like having some sort of pattern,
major personality.
Right? Yeah, and I kind of liked that, and I'm hoping they kind of, even though it's CGI, kind of work some of that in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now the cool thing about CGI is we're able to do stuff that we weren't able to do. I mean, Mothra looks a lot more like Mothra than a guy in his suit.
You're not going to see the strings in this movie,
right? That's for sure. I mean, yeah.
And there's a video a friend of mine posted on my page. I think he did, or he might have sent a message. I'm not sure, but anyway, they showed the actual Japanese Comic-Con where they showed the different looks of the monsters and stuff. And what a lot of people were complaining about is the way Mothra looks like. It's more like the Mutos from the first Godzilla movie.
Right.
But the thing is just because he's a giant moth, it doesn't mean that it has to be just like Godzilla. Because the original Mothra back in the day. Because there's all kinds of different moths out there, so it can be more streamlined and everything.
And here's the thing, if you look at the original Mothra, just due to their limitations of the model they could make, the puppetry they could do, they couldn't make it very insect-like. I mean, it had a very round, puffy head, had very simplified movements and features. They can now give this, I mean, if you look at a moth, it has the segmented legs like, a typical insect, which the old Mothra never really had.
Right.
So the fact that it's got these is simply them adding on the details of a real moth to it, but people go, oh, that's not the Mothra I remember. It's because the Mothra you remember didn't look like a moth. It looked like a giant moth kind of puppet.
It was a moth puppet. It's kind of like Yoda. It did not look like Yoda when he was CGI versus a puppet. I mean, that's realistic. The other thing, too, that I think the advantage of Mothra is you could explain him evolving because he could cocoon again and evolve into a different looking Mothra. And then for the next movie, cocoon again and look at, you know what I mean? Like, that's explainable because moths actually can do that. They can evolve by cocooning up and changing, and that's actually a thing that's happened in nature. So why not use it for Mothra? It's a thing. What about King Ghidorah? Do you guys like the looks they gave that creature?
You're still not seeing him perfectly. They keep his
no,
body.
they keep obscuring him quite a bit. Yeah.
I like the tail. He's going to have the double tails.
Yep.
They've given him the 3 heads. I mean, they're sticking with him. He's giant in scale.
Oh, yeah.
I do like the scene where the 2 of them are charging each other, and he kind of ducks down, and the heads jut forward like a charging kind of lizardous creature.
Yep.
And he definitely has a dragon look to him. So I'm just waiting to see it in action now.
I agree with you. Yeah, he's always obscured, but I think that's just so we don't see all of the big baddie just quite yet. You know what I mean? How far into the movie you guys think we'll have the big battle with all of them? Do you think that'll be at the end,
that'll
or
be the finale? But I know we're
gonna.
They've learned from the first movie and the complaints there were.
Yeah,
we're gonna have.
They're not gonna wait that long.
I'm expecting 4 decent-sized battles, 3 smaller, 1 major is my prediction.
I can almost see that.
What I think is you're going to see Godzilla against Rodan. Probably go Godzilla against Mothra, before they actually become buddies type thing. You know, and like Godzilla's pretty much telling them, "Hey, join me. We got this big baddie to fight."
Here's the real problem.
Right.
Okay, let's get to our big subject because we knew this was going to happen. Now, I'm not going to show the trailer on the video, and I'll tell you why. That's because Disney clamps down on YouTube. So if I show the trailer, they're not going to let me do that. So we're going to talk about the Avengers 4. Now, first off, the thing nobody talked about, which I thought should have been an amazing thing, was the title of the movie came out in the trailer finally.
Oh, I heard a lot of people talking about it.
So the title
I heard a lot of people disappointed that it wasn't something more original.
Really? Because I thought that was a good title, Endgame. I mean, it's the Endgame, right?
It was predicted by a number of people that would be the title.
Well, I think it leaked
Well,
more than predicted,
no, I mean,
you know.
It was Doctor Strange's practically
right, it's all about the Endgame.
And then the line is also back in Age of Ultron, I believe, as well.
Is it really?
There's a scene of Tony Stark saying, we can take out weapons dealers and all sorts of stuff all day, but the threats from up there, outer space, that's the end game, he says. He's talking to all of them. So they've used it twice in the movies.
So, I mean, come on. They do Easter eggs like that all the time. They're just hinting, and that's fine. I don't mind it. I actually like the Endgame title. So we're in space with Tony Stark, and it looks like it's the end of times for him, and the fact that he's...
So do you think he just took a ship to try and get off Titan to get home, and it just died on him? Is that how he got there?
I think in a desperate attempt to get somewhere, he took a ship from Titan and said, "I'm going to go home and I'll come back and get you guys." And
who? There's nobody left.
Well, is he the only one left on Titan?
Him and Gamora.
That's right. I guess it was him and Gamora. So I guess that is the question. What happened to Gamora?
She's going to probably just hop a different ship and fly away.
You think so?
Oh, I think they're saying that she can't breathe. She doesn't need to breathe, so she can survive.
That's true. Yeah, she can survive in space.
And it looks like the Milano anyway. So.
Yeah, it does. So it's I guess the question is how he ends up there. But I mean, I'm glad they don't tell me that.
I have a feeling it's going to be very early in the movie, that sequence.
Oh, I think that's I think that's
pretty close to the beginning.
Yeah. I thought the Marvel Studios sign wisping away, like he snapped his fingers at it, was pretty.
Which means
was a nice addition.
I have a point to make as we go along here.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I have to wait till we get there. So
okay. So we see Thanos' armor sitting there, and he's kind of walking through a field.
That's Scarecrow's from the comics.
Yep. So we know at this point that he's kind of feels like he's done. He's hung up his armor. At least that's the impression you're supposed to get here.
And that's the voiceover we're getting from Black Widow. He did it.
He did it. He did what he said he was going to do.
Disappear.
Yep. And of course now we see Cap kind of crying about the deaths and everything else.
Everybody's upset.
And I thought it was interesting because you see in the actual Avengers that who's not Hulk, still no Hulk.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner, thank you, is looking at Scott Lang and
Peter Parker.
And
one other is in that shot. It changes.
Does it really?
It was. Scroll back just a little bit.
No, I didn't see who it was.
At the beginning of the shot. Oh, they don't show it there, but I thought I saw it in another sequence that it was showing Shuri. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, who was that?
You never saw her vanish in the previous movie. That's Shuri.
Oh, that's Shuri.
You saw what's her name? The warrior. I can't think of her name. The warrior No, she stayed. It was T'Challa vanished.
T'Challa.
Yeah.
But that's the only one we saw
right.
of the Wakandans vanish. But they're saying his sister also.
Oh, really?
The scientist with all the brains gone.
Huh. Which that's a hit if she's gone.
Everyone expected her to be around and big in the second movie, and if she's been taken.
Right. Now we see Thor in almost it looks like a cage.
I think he's sitting somewhere in the Avengers headquarters.
You think so? Just mulling?
Yeah, and he's
So he's pretty ticked off.
He's got the fake eye still.
Yep, still has a fake eye. We have Gamora's sister, Nebula. Just kind of. Do we know who she's?
See, now that's the thing is she's in a spaceship,
right?
Which could be the one Tony Stark's in, and she touches someone in a chair.
And it kind of looks like it might be Tony.
And is this person dead? Did she find him and he's dead? Is she saying goodbye and good luck, take off? Is that her goodbye?
Right.
Who knows?
Now here's the big one. Of course, we all have been wondering what happened to Clint Barton, right? Where's Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Well, they show him, but it's not Hawkeye.
It's Ronin.
He's now Ronin. There's no doubt about it. He's definitely in the Ronin costume. He definitely looks worse for wear, which I think is a pretty big clue.
We know what happened.
His
entire family snapped away.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and I think he's coming out because he has nothing else to live for at this point. He's been kind of forced into a situation.
So think about this, because I thought about it. They may even put this in his lines. I could imagine him saying to Black Widow, this was supposed to be fair.
Right.
But why is my family, who were good people, gone, and criminals and bad guys still here?
Out there.
And now he's out to kill him. Because he's lost it.
I could totally see that as an argument for him to come back out. I thought it was interesting that Cap pulls out his compass again with Haley Atwell, and he's looking at Sharon Carter. And so you kind of sit there and you go, what's Cap's motivation here? You know what I mean? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of interesting that they're using that as kind of his motivation.
Look at the very next lines we get.
Right.
This is gonna work.
Right.
So this is now they're talking about a plan they've got to do something. And Cap says, I know it's going to because I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't.
Right.
So they've got something. This is by that point in the movie.
By that point in the movie, there's something big going on.
Pause it here. So look at this. What's happening?
The Avengers A is coming back together.
It's assembling.
Yeah, I get it. I'm
like totally in the trailer. Avengers Assemble. I think we're finally going to get that darn line.
You think we're going to get the line? Avengers Assemble?
4 movies. We got to get it.
Do you think it comes from Cap?
Oh, yeah.
He's going to
shout it, and everyone's coming in, and it's going to be that moment when the theater just wants to erupt.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's going to be the victory moment, right? Yeah. Now, I think the big part is the ending. And I'll tell you why. First off, Scott Lang shows up, right? And he's like, hey, guys, you know. And this is the part that if you have not seen Ant-Man and Wasp, spoiler, sorry, I'm about to ruin it for you, but I have to. How the deuce did Scott Lang get out
of the multiverse? He was trapped in there. All 3 of the people who were monitoring him, just as they were going to bring him out, snapped away.
So I got your answer.
And he was left there floating.
I've got your answer.
Do you?
You're going to hate me. It's not Scott Lang.
You don't think that's Scott Lang?
Nope.
You think it's a Skrull?
Ding, ding, ding. Why else would you have Ms. Marvel introducing Skrulls? Why not have a Skrull copy Scott Lang, go to the Avengers headquarters, infiltrate?
See, I actually think you're wrong on it.
Really? I think this would be a perfect way to do it.
I think it's because part of him being back is how they're going to time travel, dimensional shift, whatever. Okay. I think him coming back from the multiverse is going to be important. He gets out somehow. And
I'm not saying that he doesn't get out. I'm saying that the Scott Lang you're seeing here is not the Scott Lang.
I can see that. I can give it a potential, but I only give it about 20%. I think it's really him.
I think it might be higher than that. What I think is going to happen is that's how we're going to find out the Skrulls are still around. Because I think we're going to find out the Skrulls are on Earth in Ms. Marvel. But I think what's going to happen is the implication is going to be that the Skrulls are no longer here.
I disagree. I'm leaving.
What's that? You disagreed? You're leaving?
Yeah.
I think we lost Gary.
He doesn't think it's a Skrull either. He agrees with me.
Okay.
I think it's Scott Lang.
But I think what happens is they think the Skrulls are gone. Like maybe they defeated 2 or 3 of them, so they think they're gone. But I think there's one left who's been trying to infiltrate the Avengers as much as he can. And I ultimately think that that's the Scott Lang thing.
No, because here's the problem with that idea. That's great and all.
Yeah.
But that's putting a different villain into the story against the major focus. And I don't see the Russo brothers going, yeah, let's also put that storyline in on top of it when our focus should be the bad guy.
I still think the focus is going to be Thanos, but I think what ultimately they're going to set up is the next major story arc going into, what is it, the 4th?
Season 4.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Stage 4, right? I think the major villain is Phase 4. Thank you, it's Phase. I knew it was something like that. So I think the next major villain in Phase 4 is going to be the Skrulls, so why not start the ball rolling on that? It may not actually come to total fruition, throughout this whole storyline, but why not put little things like that to interject?
And who knows?
in?
Maybe that's going to be your big ending that you keep predicting. Is we're not going to get an ending which is, oh, here comes the X-Men or here comes the Fantastic Four. We're going to get a slam bang teaser ending that's going to be, there goes the Captain America we knew, there goes the whatever we knew as they transform back into Skrulls.
Right, back into Skrulls from being human beings.
And we're like, when the hell did we lose them? Where did they? How long have I been watching the bad guy? I see you doing that, but I see that being. I don't see that being the resolution that the audience should get. And I don't think the Russo brothers are going to go that route to disappoint the fans, because I think since this is going to be the last time we see some of these characters, I don't see them sending them out not being those characters. I see them giving the resolution to the fans that they want. I think that's the type of people that they are in terms of writing story.
I get what you're saying, but I'm also saying it's Disney, right? Like, Disney's hands in this. Think about the wait what you get at the end of the last movie.
Right,
and Disney loved that wait what. Why? They built up anticipation for this movie. You want to build up anticipation again? Give them another wait what.
Yeah,
where the Avengers are Skrulls and you go, wait, what?
I don't see the wait
it's
what
like all
being,
this we've been watching is not.
I don't see them doing that as the wait what, because that wait what is like, we lied to you. And they'll feel so betrayed that I think there'd be a lot of backlash.
I think there may or may not be. See, that's the thing. Like, there will be backlash in the people that don't understand the Marvel universe at all, right? Like, the non-comic book fan is going to be like, wait, what? But what I foresee coming out of that is the comic book fans going to those people saying, oh, you have no idea. You got to go read the comics. This is why. This, you know what I mean? Like, I
know that they've said
they can play
4,
to that, right?
Phase 4 is going to look drastically different. We've heard that.
Well, that's why I'm saying it, because I think they're trying to tell you. Disney's been trying to give you that hint that everything you think you see is not what it is. They keep telling you that.
I don't know. I just don't. If
we'll have to see.
You know what? If it's right, I'll say you said it first. I'll be there. I just don't. I don't. That my prediction.
And I'm saying that without any insider information. Yeah. I'm just going off of what I'm seeing off the trailers, thinking this could be a thing. I mean, that's the way I'm seeing it. Okay.
Let's go to Gary on this one.
Gary, any thoughts on Endgame? I mean, like, what did you think of the trailer? What do you think is going on with Scott Lang? I mean.
Everybody says that Miss Marvel's the one that's going to save everything, or Captain Marvel, or whatever you want to call her name, is going to be the one that saves everything.
Yeah.
But it's going to be Scott Lang.
You think it'll be Ant-Man?
Yeah.
I think he actually uses that being in the multiverse as a way to get in and out of wherever all these other people are stuck. That's how I think they get them through, what is it, the Reality Stone or whatever it is that they're stuck in? I think he's able to shrink into the multiverse, go in there and get them out.
Right.
Which is cool.
Wouldn't it be interesting if what they show us is that when he did the snap and half the life vanished?
Yeah.
What if that half is in another reality and they think everybody else vanished?
Oh, okay.
And so we get to see Peter Parker going, I can't believe Tony's gone.
Right.
My father figure. All that stuff, and we see both sides of it. And and the whole fight is, how do we rectify, how do we bring back the realities?
Right.
Because what if that's what he did?
Because now you've got opposing realities, and how do you bring them back together?
What if it's the Reality Stone that caused the whole thing, and what he did is he split into two realities?
Yeah. That'd be interesting. We'll have debates from now until forever. Well,
now until
at least until April.
Which you were saying.
I'm pretty sure they moved up the date. They were supposed to be the first week in May.
May 5th.
And they're saying April of 2019. The rumors I'm hearing is it's supposed to be the last weekend in April.
Now, is it also because now that they've gone worldwide, and that a lot of times releases in China and stuff happen a week before us.
Right.
Have they decided, no, we can't do that, there's too many spoilers,
I'm thinking they have to do a worldward release at once.
Remember last year? They did this last year.
Yep.
Avengers moved up a week.
Yep.
Because I remember the whole thing where Robert Downey Jr. was texting as Tony Stark.
Right.
Saying, hey, let's get... I want to do a special screening of this for my friends. They go, absolutely, sir. Who would you like to show it to? And he goes, how about everybody?
Right.
They go, sounds great. Let's move it. Let's do this opening a week. And they did it all in character that they announced. They moved the opening up a week.
Right. I think they just did it in the trailer just to do it and be done with it. It'll be interesting. It's going to be an interesting ride, folks.
It's one of the biggest anticipations for a movie I've seen in years.
Probably since Empire Strikes Back. I truly believe. I don't think I've seen a movie that's had this much buzz behind it, like Empire Strikes Back. That's the last one I can think of.
Going into Return of the Jedi.
Going into Return, like the buzz coming out of it, going into Return. That's
other than maybe the prequels.
Maybe
when the prequels were hinted at, that was gigantic. I mean, come on.
It was, but it was over saturation. I think with marketing is what that really pushed us into that.
Right.
Okay, so the last thing we wanted to talk about is all these crazy announcements we've heard about The Mandalorian and cast of Mandalorian, who's in the Mandalorian TV show. And what's really weird is it's like IO9 is telling you pretty much every rumor you've heard is totally true. So it is official. It's official now that Pedro Pascal is the lead show. He is joined by Gina Carano, Carl Weathers, and Nick Nolte. Yep. Now, we had to go look up some of these guys. It was kind of like, whoa, who are these guys?
Okay. You had work up.
Yeah, I knew who Carl Weathers was.
Carl Weathers. All right, so up front, Carl Weathers I knew was Creed, from all the Rocky movies ever. And Nick Nolte, I think everybody knows who Nick Nolte is. But then we started getting into
Hulk's dad. Come on.
and Carl Weathers was in The Predator.
True. I forgot about that.
I just want one of those hand clap scenes between him and the Mandalorian with the big bulging muscles.
Right.
That's what I want.
That'd be awesome.
And Gina Carano, now that I know that she's the girl that played opposite of
Deadpool Colossus.
Right, Deadpool's Colossus. Now I know who she is. Sure, now I know who she is. Now they're getting joined by Werner Herzog, who is a big deal, apparently.
Yes, Werner Herzog, for people who know him, which a lot of people do, he's he's done a lot of acting, but he's mostly known as a director, especially of documentaries. But he acts. He's a very interesting character, and he's very out there in a lot of stuff he does. So that's kind of a neat addition. Which
I gotta admit, I had no idea who the guy was. That was kind of a new one for me. Also joined in that cast, according to IO9, is Breaking Bad's Giancarlo Esposito. Now, it's weird because they were like, oh, yeah, Breaking Bad. And I was like, I don't know anybody from Breaking Bad. That's right, I've never seen this, so sorry. But then I went to IMDb and I looked him up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy has been in everything.
He knew him from the Electric Company.
Apparently, first off, he sung the Electric Company theme song.
Right, he sang the Electric Company theme song.
That's what it said, anyway.
And that was before his time, even. That's the best part.
Well, I watched the reruns of Electric Company. I'm sorry, I did. I grew up on it. I can't help it.
And he voiced a character in Jungle Book, so he's worked with Favreau.
Right. He was in Better Call Saul. Of course, that's all tied up into all the other things. He was in Once Upon a Time. So for those people that watched that, yes, I actually did a stint on the Once Upon a Time podcast. Y'all know that. And he was the Magic Mirror in Once Upon a Time. And as I went farther back, it was like, wow, all these things. And then it was Revolution that I was like, oh my gosh, yes, he was the general on the TV show Revolution, which, by the way, if you've never watched that TV show, it is amazing. Like, I loved that show.
And right beneath that, I just noticed on IMDb, he was Ra's al Ghul.
Right.
Voice of in one of the animated shows.
For Son of Batman, he voiced Ra's al Ghul.
He actually did a couple of different voices in Batman's.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, okay. He's been in Law and Orders, which like everybody under the sun's ever been in a Law and Order, I swear. And so he's done a lot of things. Homicide, Life in the Street. He's been he's had a pretty storied career. So it's kind of cool to see that he's on the cast now. And we get Emily Swallow, which I gotta admit, I still to this point really don't know her from much. But for those who are into those shows, she was on Castlevania as Lisa Tepes.
In fact, right now its second season just came out on Netflix.
Right,
and Tepes.
Tepes, sorry. Not Tebs. Okay. And she was, what was the other one? Mentalist. She was in The Mentalist as Kim Fisher.
She was in Supernatural.
She's in Supernatural as Amara. I'm not even sure. Karin? Is that Karine? Is that how you say it? The Darkness, whatever that is from the TV show. She was in Southland. So, it's kind of some interesting
She played
things.
a nurse in Jericho.
Yeah. She played, if you watch the Jericho TV series, apparently she was a nurse on there. And then Omid Abtahi, I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly, and he, according to the article, was on American Gods. Now, as we looked him up, we found him kind of interesting because of all the background he has. He's definitely a voiceover actor.
Just to give you an idea, some of the games he's been in have been Titanfall, Call of Duty. He has been in... He appeared in Family Guy as a voiceover, but he also, Diablo 3, he also voiced a character in the Clone Wars TV show.
A Mandalorian sniper, ironically. He was also in the 24 TV series, if you watched that. He was Safa, who was the guy from South Africa that was working with, who's always the main character?
Jack Ryan.
Well, no, it wasn't Jack Ryan. It was...
Not Jack Ryan.
Kiefer Sutherland's character, but I can't remember the character's name now.
Jack something, wasn't it?
I thought it was Jack something. Hang on, I'm gonna look.
I never watched that show, so I only know it from the memes.
The last 3 seasons, I totally
Jack Bauer.
Jack Bauer. Thank you.
Oh, that's right.
The last 3 seasons, I got totally hooked into 24. I couldn't help it. My wife even thought I was crazy because I was like, yes, much watch more. So he's been in a lot of stuff, but he's definitely is a voiceover actor more than anything, which makes me wonder, is he going to be an alien? Like,
he could be an alien. He could be a Mandalorian who never takes his mask off. And he goes
that's
by
a
voice.
possibility. Yep, like be a voice, or he could even be the voiceover of Pedro Pascal.
Maybe. I think
maybe while the helmet's on, but
it.
I would think Pedro would do it, but you never know.
Also, we noticed the writing credits.
And yeah, in the writing credits, so they've they're being written and executive produced by Jon Favreau, and will debut on the upcoming Disney Channel service Disney Plus. So Favreau's writing and producing.
But if you go to IMDb,
right, according to IMDb,
8 episodes. It says Jon Favreau is the creator and has written 8 episodes. Also
writing
as a writing credit on 8
episodes is George Lucas.
To me, that's big.
That's huge. And then on top of it, you got Dave Filoni directing an episode, Deborah Chow, an unknown number of episodes, Rick Famuyiwa, I'm not quite sure who he is, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Taika Waititi. I mean, that's not a small cast of directors either.
This show has got some major power behind it.
And some serious money going into it. Like, when I'm looking at Kathleen Kennedy's an executive producer, Colin Wilson, Karen Gilchrist, Filoni, Favreau. I mean, like, these are not small names in the industry. These are not small names for Disney. These are not small names, period. So, let me ask you guys, do you think now, based on all this information we're getting, is The Mandalorian the anchor to the new Disney streaming service? Is it, are we really truly looking at this show being the thing that drives the Disney Plus service?
If it's nothing like the animated shows, it's the anchor.
Because it has to be, right?
This is the must-see for Star Wars fans.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you there.
And for me, it becomes a must. The George Lucas thing becomes a must-see for me. Because there are prequel haters and what have you. I still am more of a fan, I'm going to say it, of the prequels in general in terms of ideas, themes, and overall feel. Yes, the acting was wooden and all that, but it introduced things like the rule of 2,
right?
That Darth was a title, not a name.
Right.
All the things we take for granted now in the Star Wars universe were introduced in those prequels. This is the idea man, George Lucas, telling the story the way he meant it. That feeling has been missing for me from Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Him coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to write stories and tell stories that happened after Return of the Jedi, almost seems like Disney saying, okay, we realize our universe isn't going in the right direction movie-wise, but this TV show can tell what George Lucas always wanted to tell happened after Jedi. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, they can bring back all the stuff that he wanted to do that he didn't get to. And
to make it a thing.
And squeeze it in there before The Force Awakens. So that's got me wicked excited.
Okay. Gary, do you think this is a good choice, having George come in and work with the cast here?
Oh, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Do you think they should advertise that? Because it hasn't been advertised yet. It's not even in discussion.
We haven't had much advertising at all. I think they're holding their cards until they've got a bit more in the tank. And let's face it, Star Wars Celebration in Chicago in like 3.5 months.
Yeah, I have to admit, they'll probably have some sort of major
because they're saying this is coming out at the end of 2019 probably. We're probably getting this sometime November, December next year. Mm-hmm. So a good 6-month lead out with Star Wars Celebration, it's perfect timing to start the media blitz.
Do you think George shows up at Celebration?
Yes.
Now I'm seeing him here. I don't think there's any way
I think Favreau,
George Lucas does not.
Favreau and Lucas do a joint major
announcement together
at the show, and they give the first footage.
Yeah, I think that's he has to be a surprise guest, and Favreau has to bring him on the stage, and I think that's how it's going to have to happen. How awesome would it be if they bring George back, let Favreau do the Avengers thing to Star Wars,
start it,
and hand it to George? You
mean the Iron Man, the Marvel universe?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Avengers thing they did. Right. Do that to Star Wars and hand it back to George.
I'd love to see George come back to it. I'm sorry, I would. I know people say, "Oh, so glad he's gone." No.
Do you think that would work, Gary? Is that a plausible thing to have happen, to bring George back into the fold? Do you think?
Yeah, but will George actually come and stay though? That's the thing.
Yeah, this could be him dabbling, but I think I think he probably, after he sold it and he gave them their ideas and they didn't go with his ideas, I think for something that you have that much ownership of, since you're like, early 20s until, you're in your 60s or whatever, you're building, and then to see it changed, I think there's a strong desire, if you're given that opportunity again, to say, I'm not messing this up again, I'm going to do what I wanted to do.
Do you think this is maybe the early signs of George kind of feeling like it was a whoops to sell to Disney and he's trying to make up for it?
I think maybe. I would not put it past that that's definitely going on behind the scenes, that he feels that way. And
I don't think he wants to own it again. I'm being honest. I don't think he wants to own Star Wars. I think there's too much other stuff there.
Yeah.
I think he'd be really happy to just be a director. Just come in or direct or produce, and that's it. Walk away, be a Rick McCollum, you know what I mean? Well, the way and let somebody else worry about all the other stuff.
Right. The fact that he's writing but not directing is exactly where he needs to be, like with Empire and Jedi. He's the idea man, telling the universe the way it's his universe.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
Telling it the way he imagined it and letting other people then bring their skills to tell that story.
I'm actually kind of excited for The Mandalorian now. I mean, now that we're seeing this cast, this excessively talented crew, before I was kind of like on the fence about like, man, I hope they don't mess this up. Man, I hope they don't screw this up. And I know it's Jon Favreau, but gosh, I hope, like they don't foobar it somehow like they've done with a lot of the cartoons. And yet when I look now at all of this, I'm like, how could they possibly mess it up?
Oh, don't say that.
And if they do now I'm kind of like, at that point, it's a dead horse. Shoot it.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
That's the thing.
This series better reinvigorate every Star Wars fan.
I mean, I better feel like I'm watching a Star Wars movie every week.
I agree with you.
A 1 hour Star Wars movie. That's just awesome.
And if it's more of a half-done, half-baked version of, I don't know, Battlestar Galactica version of Star Wars, I'm out. Like, I can't keep doing this and watching my thing that I saw as a kid suddenly fall apart. What do you mean? What are you laughing at? I'm out.
Your half-assed Battlestar Galactica version.
Well, I'm sorry. Come on, like
that's still better than The Last Jedi.
This is true, but that would be the thing to me. As even as much as I didn't hate The Last Jedi, the weird thing is the more I'm watching it, this sounds dumb, but the more I watch Last Jedi, the more I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I was the other way with Force Awakens. I didn't like it at first, but the more I've watched it, the more I'm kind of getting into it and I like it. Yeah. But then the latest one is like the other way around. The more I watch it, the more I hate it.
This is why. I think that movie was designed by a director who does a good job at pulling your emotional strings.
Right.
It had those welling moments. It had those beats to try and at least emotionally grab you. You know?
Right.
Oh my God, there's Luke doing whatever. There's the fight with Kylo. There's the big epic with Snow. You feel these emotional touches when he puts those moments in. But then when you logically watch him a second time, you start going,
wait, that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why is this? What about the thing? What are they forgetting? This doesn't. Right. It doesn't tie in with the early. And the more you get past that emotional early response and you think about it more, which is what Star Wars fans do. They'll think about movies forever. It doesn't hold up for me.
And you know what movie gets better every time I'm watching it now? Han Solo.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. Yeah. Every time I watch it now, I'm getting more and more into the movie. Going, actually, it's not that bad. Like I shouldn't even say not that bad. It's actually
it's good.
It's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it got a bum rap.
I really
What I think Disney needs to do is stop doing the trilogy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And do standalones.
Yeah. Like, why don't they just do that? Do standalones all the time. No more trilogies. Just get rid of the trilogy. Look at all of them as standalones.
Well, that's the thing. Once they're done with number 9 and they finish the story of the Skywalkers,
right?
Which, I'm sorry, Rian Johnson, that's what the trilogies were meant to be. It was a 9-episode arc, the story of the Skywalkers.
Right.
I don't think that they need to tell that story anymore, and I think they can branch out into more individualized stories. But I still think they needed to stick with that to finish the 9.
Yeah. And of course, the only Skywalker left.
It's like I said to people before. It's like you don't tell the Harry Potter novels, and then in book 6 decide to go. Now we're going to focus on Ron because it's not Harry's story. We got to talk about other people. No, we're not going to focus on Ron. We're going to focus on this guy who has no important parents, but we're going to make him really important.
It's like suddenly going after Hagrid, not even Ron. Like somebody's as obscure as you can get.
No, it's okay. Halfway through the story, they're going to go on Malfoy.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. It really, you can't, it's okay that it's the story of one person or one family because that's the story.
Right. Okay, so those were our thoughts on a lot of different subjects, and I'm sure you have your thoughts too. Send it over to GalaxyCast.com. Let us know what you think. Find us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. And again, we talked about Jason Mamoa performing the Haka. We talked about Bumblebee, the new movie. And not only that, but, man, they actually used the Transformers sound effect, which was really cool. We talked about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. We talked about Marvel Studios' Avengers 4, the Endgame trailer, and then we talked about the cast of The Mandalorian. So all of that in our packed episode already. And we're going to be back in just a little bit. We're going to watch the next episode to us of Star Wars Resistance, and hopefully they're getting better.
They're going to watch. I'm going to take a nap.
Probably. Gary's going to watch the back of his eyelids. So we're hoping it's getting better. We'll be back in just a little bit. All right, there, YouTube land. We're back. We didn't hate this one. I will say that. We didn't hate it.
I stayed awake for it.
Gary stayed awake, yeah. You did not watch the back of your eyelids. I was impressed.
He gives it 2 eyelids open.
All right, here we go.
That's about it.
Hey, folks, welcome back to this episode of the let me try it again. Hey, folks, welcome back to this episode of the Galaxy Cast as we review the latest episode to us of Star Wars Resistance titled The High Tower. Of course, every time I read that, all I can think of is Hightower from Police Academy. Yeah. I don't know why, Lieutenant Hightower. So, pretty much, it's funny because we read these things off this tvmaze.com website. I love their synopsis here. The First Order arrives at the platform for mysterious reasons, and Kaz and BB-8 are determined to sneak into the tower to find out what they want. That's it. We're good. I'm out.
I mean, that is your entire review of the episode.
That's pretty much whatever happened in the episode.
Synopsis.
So we start off the episode with the idea that the power is going out in the station. And it's interesting that the power is going out because they don't give you any reasons. We just know that the power is being lost. What would power a station like this? What do you guys think is actually doing
I would think
the power?
I would think that in a world full of high technology on an ocean, you'd have things underwater that would just churn like generators with the natural flow of the ocean water and power it infinitely.
Or even if you weren't doing that, wouldn't you think solar power could potentially keep this station going for a pretty decent long time?
But once again, fuel is another plot.
Why is that a thing in the Star Wars universe? Fuel is an issue. A huge issue in the Star Wars universe for some reason.
What I would have done is had some type of water separator between the atoms and all that and burn the hydrogen.
Yeah.
There you go.
They got that. They could have a goddamn wind farm.
True.
Just slightly
You're out in the middle of the ocean,
up the breezes,
picking up breezes or
power
whatever.
There should be wind farm fans all around this.
I just don't get why they need to bring fuel in.
The big fans underwater, because the water has to have a current.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Water generators, there's all sorts of stuff.
So yet again, there's something there that just doesn't make sense in the overall schema of the entire episode.
But still waiting for a giant space whale.
It'll happen one of these days, and then all of a sudden we're gonna need to go back in time in order to find some and bring them back. Oh wait, that's Star Trek. Oh, sorry.
Well, the space whale is going to come in with being piloted by an A-wing pilot.
There you go.
With a bunch of spiders.
Yes. He's gonna go. I'm back.
If the space whale comes, shooting back, it's going to be being ridden by
Ezra?
No, what's his name? Oh my God.
Thrawn?
Yeah, Thrawn. He's going to be on top.
Yeah.
With a trident.
Yeah, a trident.
He's gonna be riding it like a nuclear bomb, going yeah. Okay, sorry. So power goes out in the station, and of course now nobody has anything to do. So what do we all do?
Go to the bar.
Go to the local bar, which by the way has power.
Off and on.
Still,
it does cut out.
It does cut out, and eventually in the episode it cuts completely out.
They said,
but why does the bar have power when nobody else does?
No, that's not true. They didn't say that all power was gone. They said they were going to be rationing power. So
I guess
certain
that's
parts
true.
get, certain parts don't, and
the bar has to have power when nobody else does.
You got to keep people going somehow.
Well, maybe they're burning their alcohol in their own generator.
Yeah.
There you go.
They got 5 dozen droids in the back room pedaling bikes, just keeping generators going as fast as they can.
This is sad when we have to come up with reasons like this to explain the episode. So,
but what I really think is funny is the voice of Doza.
Doza?
Doza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the name?
Yeah, Jason Hightower.
Yeah.
And the title of the episode is The Hightower. And considering
I'm sorry, I keep hearing Doza, but
Yeah.
I'm not hearing Doza. I'm
You're
hearing
hearing Dozer.
Dozer, and I keep thinking of Fraggle Rock. And I'm
And
like,
Gary,
they're building stuff.
you're thinking of
Gozer.
Go into the Gozerian.
I am the gatekeeper. Are you the keymaster? Anyway, so all that's going on, and they go to the local bar, and they basically decide that all this is happening because Doza is in line with the resistance. Is that the
there's
assumption?
reports that there are First Order ships coming in at night,
Right,
and so they're wondering how much he's involved with the First Order,
right,
and that they're kind of just back and forth theoretically wondering that when Hype Phazon shows up.
right. All of a sudden, Hype Phazon shows up. He's supposedly a big deal pilot that everybody wants to,
He's the winner.
talk with. All I could think of when I saw Hype Phazon was he's got to be the Gordon, the Jeff Gordon of their racing realm,
Basically.
because he thinks nothing of his can be wrong. He's never wrong.
Well, he's got sponsors on his clothing.
for sure, but I mean, he's also hyped up. It's kind of interesting too that his name is Hype Phazon.
It was perfect. Well, Phazon is actually the name of the actor who does the voice.
Oh, really?
He was shocked. It's the guy from what's his name? You got to go to the full cast. I can think of his first name.
He's from Scrubs.
Scrubs. He's the guy.
Oh,
from
that's
Scrubs.
right.
His name is Phazon, and when he found out they named the character after
They
him,
named it after
he's
him.
like, "What?"
Yeah.
And he thought that was cool, and then they call it Hype because they just the way
A
Star
lot of
Wars
hype.
names things.
Right.
That's kind of an inline name for Star Wars. I don't have a problem with that name.
No, I don't have a problem with the name. I just thought it was interesting, the Hype Phazon name. So he's all hyped up, and he talks about the Star Wars, the Resistance coming in, and
First Order.
coming in and possibly talking with Captain Doza.
But he keeps saying, "I'm not part of that."
Right. So then we go to a commercial break, and we come back, and we have the First Order landing.
Yes.
So that was kind of an interesting segue, I thought. And for the first time, we see Major Von Reg, which I thought is an interesting. I like this character so far. There's a lot of mystery behind the character. He keeps his helmet on.
It's a good voice.
Good voice. Lex Lang is voicing the guy.
I like the red, the helmet.
I
Looks cool.
love the costume. I really like.
Only problem I got
dig
with
it.
him, he's a pencil neck.
Oh yeah, he's got that really thin neck thing going on. You mean?
Yep.
Yeah. And it does seem
Fred,
weird.
Fred Blassie wouldn't like him, that's for sure.
Exactly.
It does seem weird. He doesn't quite fit in that regard. Like it's kind of a weird drawing, I guess, of the character. But he seems very domineering, I guess, controlling of any situation, I guess is the best way to put it. And so I kind of like the character in that regard. And there's kind of this mystery around him. He's almost Boba Fettish in that way.
A little bit.
Lot
He's
of
not as
mystery.
cool, but
Right. So, of course, he lands, and Kaz makes the dumb mistake of, in front of Niku, saying, "Man, we should find out why they're here." So what does Niku do?
I'm going to ask them.
Right, he's just literally going to go ask him. Now, early on in the episode, we didn't talk about this. They were messing around with the two communicators. And, of course, Eric's like, well, there you go. There's our foreshadowing.
Well,
And-
immediately they got close to each other, and there was a
Right.
massive feedback.
Yep.
I said, okay. My thought was
they were going to use
they're
it with
gonna
the
use it-
helmets and
something-
cause
yeah,
feedback in
that's
the
what I
helmet.
thought.
That's what I thought they were going to do.
something along those lines.
And so, like you said, kind of surprised they didn't go that route, but it was a nice surprise to an extent because
Yeah.
it didn't quite work out that way.
It was too much of a foreshadowing to not be something.
Right.
So that's one of the problems with these cartoons. All the cartoon variations we've been getting since Clone Wars never really was heavy-handed. It told good stories.
Right.
But ever since Rebels and now with Resistance, they're getting more heavy-handed with their storytelling, with their foreshadowing, with their characters, kind of a broad canvas of the way they approach things, and those things bother me a bit.
Do you think they're doing it, though, because this generation of kids needs that kind of
I don't know.
almost in-the-face foreshadowing, or they don't get it? I don't know.
I think they're smarter than that.
I don't know.
I think this is a
I work with a lot of these kids in
unexpected.
school. You'd be surprised. I mean, they don't get book foreshadowing a lot. They don't. They struggle with foreshadowing and
maybe they know something we don't.
some skills that we struggle with, or that we don't struggle with, they totally struggle with. And foreshadowing seems to be one of the skills that they don't get very well. And I'm wondering if TV shows are part of the issue. They don't foreshadow enough, or they're too obvious with the foreshadowing. And maybe that's what's going on.
Something else I've always hated in terms of the cartoon acting is like when Kaz is trying to get away from the group, he fakes that BB-8 needs to be recharged.
Right.
They do that over parody face and voice acting, selling it like, oh, yeah, I have to go and charge it. It's like, it's so overdone, they can't make it more subtle, where he goes, BB-8's running out of power, I gotta go charge him.
Right.
You know, and keep it, it's like, they feel the need to over-telegraph every emotion.
But
I just feel like it's
doesn't that fit in with every other Disney TV show, though?
Maybe it does, but
think about that,
But it overdoes it for me.
Oh, no, I agree with you. I'm just saying.
And they didn't do that in Clone Wars. You wouldn't
right.
You wouldn't see Ben Kenobi being like, "Oh, I'm going to go over here." And, he wouldn't.
Right.
He didn't act like that. They just acted like the characters.
I agree. I agree. So, long story short, Kaz manages to get himself invited into the Aces Lounge in the tower, in the high tower,
with the girl. You'd have to bring up the full cast. What's her name? The mechanic.
Oh, Dozer? No, because Doza's. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go.
No, let's go down. It's right there. They have it. You just have
Do they?
Yeah, you can edit this out. If you go down, it says full cast at the bottom.
Oh.
So, what the heck is she? They don't list her?
Really?
She's a major character in the whole episode. That's bizarre.
Yeah, let me go to IMDb.
Okay. Sorry, we're going to have to edit this out, YouTube.
I have to admit, I'm surprised they don't list her either. Oops.
It's Susie, right? Tam? Yeah, okay.
It's Tam, yeah. Rivora.
Right.
So, Tam, anyway.
So what we get is he gets invited up there with Tam. Right. And I liked the bit of backstory they give between Tam and Hype, that these two used to be good friends. Right. And obviously when one got more successful, they kind of grew apart. And they don't overplay that too much.
I agree with you.
That they just told. And to me, I was saying this off air before we got in and reviewed the second half, things like that make me feel like I at least understand these characters and know them better than I almost ever felt like I knew the cast of Rebels after 4 seasons.
Right.
I still didn't feel like I knew them, but I'm feeling, at least with these characters, I feel like I know them a little better. So they're doing that at least marginally well.
Well, like I told you guys, I feel like I at least remember a majority of the people here. Like, I remember our main characters, all the people that we need to know. It's not like I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, who's that character's name? At least Kaz I can remember, Kazuto I can remember. It's I'll admit there's little people. Niku is going to be the one. I'll never forget Niku. I don't know why. There's something about him that I like that kind of hangs in my head. But yeah.
Bucket.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can't forget Bucket. And, Aunt Z, it takes me a while sometimes to remember that she's the bartender. But, over time I've gotten to know these characters and I still feel like I know them. And I'm not forgetting who they are. I mean, we were forgetting Zeb and all these names that we had from Star Wars Rebels. I still forget some of them.
Yeah.
And I'm remembering these characters at least better. So they're making an impression at least. So they get into this lounge. Now, I gotta admit, like, going from the city into the lounge, like, for those people who are watching the episode, like, turn the brightness down your TV, because holy cow.
Pure white.
Pure white from what was really dark part of the episode. And we had all the lights on down here, normally turn them off. And that was kind of like a, wow, like a powerful, like, moment. Like, it took my eyes, I don't know if you guys had the problem, but like my eyes had to.
I felt like it was overwashed for about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
before I adjusted
like,
to it.
Yeah,
and then I got it.
So your eyes could adjust to that change. It was a pretty massive change.
The light kept me awake.
Maybe that was a problem for Gary. That's what dilated his pupils or whatever.
The tower is where Gary needs to be if he wants to stay awake.
If he wants to stay awake
for Resistance.
So Kaz decides to, while they're talking to Hype, he decides to take off and like figure out what's going on with the First Order. Now he does something interesting here. He puts the comlink.
He sneaks it onto a tray.
Onto a tray
the droid is taking in,
like food that's going up to the actual. I guess it's a drink that's going upstairs. Kind of smart, actually. I was like, wow, okay.
That worked for me.
That's kind of nice.
I thought he was just going to go into the room with the robot.
Right, that's what I thought too.
And then sneak to a side and listen in. And I'm glad they didn't do that.
Right, I'm actually kind of glad they didn't either, because that would have been he should have been caught. And considering the last episode, we're in the same dang room with all the bad guys, and like somehow he doesn't get caught.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him that he's like behind a fern.
Right,
they don't see me.
He's behind the blinds with his feet sticking out below or something.
He's got the same power that Drax has.
What's that? If I don't move, they don't see me?
Exactly.
I move so slow. I'm invisible.
So long story short, he listens in on what I consider to be a pretty major conversation between Captain Doza and Major Vonreg were basically Vonreg saying, "Hey, time to join us." You know,
he's making a pretty clear offer.
Yeah, that he wants the station to be part of, not the Resistance, the First Order, and Doza's trying to push back a little bit, at least as much as he can at this point, and trying to hold off the First Order. I don't know how much longer that's going to be able to happen.
I mean, he tries to threaten that I could report you to the
Resistance, yeah.
No, not to the whole...
The New Republic.
The New Republic, that's
I
right.
could report them.
Right.
And they said, well, we could report... Which I found funny. They could report them to the New Republic for all their piracy that they allow to happen. I'm like, I don't think the First Order is going to report anything to the Republic. If they go and talk to the Republic,
right? Like,
they're going to be like, we're going to kill you! You're the First Order!
Well, I'd love to see that meeting where, they're stealing all our power. Oh, yeah? Well, they've got a bunch of pirates. That's all I could picture as the meeting. So, it was interesting to at least hear the discussion there.
Yeah.
Because basically the First Order was starting to cut off their power. And I was sitting there thinking, fuel deliveries could be limited, and we could cut your power. And I was kind of like, hey, this is how you break an enemy down. You cut the power, you cut their supplies, you control everything, and then you make them do what you want them to do. And I was kind of like, okay, at least somebody with a military tactic mind is writing that part of the.
But now we come back to the major question of the series.
Okay.
Why is it important for anyone to have this single station sitting on an ocean? What is it about this station that's so important? If there's not anything there, then they're not thinking this series through. Because the fact that the Resistance wants to send spies in there to figure out why the First Order is interested in there's what's going on there that's so important.
Well, and maybe that's how they're trying to create some intrigue here. They're just trying to get you to think about, why would they be after this lonely space station that's got racers? I think there's something else going on here, something nefarious, below deck, below the ocean, whatever. Maybe it's a big source of, I don't know, crystals for Jedi lightsabers, or, I don't know, dilithium crystals or whatever, but...
My theory?
What's that?
It's a cloning facility.
I'm thinking the same thing, too, because remember, the clones lived below the surface of the water.
Yep, on Camino.
Yep, on Camino, so why wouldn't they potentially have a cloning facility underneath this
And you know what they're
facility?
cloning?
What's that?
They're cloning space whales.
For fuel.
For fuel. Okay, so moving along with the story.
Because we needed fuel for everything. Even the Last Jedi needed fuel.
Yeah,
True.
Everybody was running out of fuel there too.
Everybody's got fuel problems.
Except for the First Order.
No, they got tons of reserves.
Well, they're like the Saudi Arabia of Star Wars. Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, they're OPEC.
They are. They control everybody else's fuel reserves. So, long story short, the robot comes down the stairs the First Order comes down first. Robot comes down the stairs, and Eric, you totally predicted it, and I knew it was going to happen too. Robot turns, two comlinks are close together. They
get
feedback, and of course, Cass is now on the run from the First Order. And of course, he runs all over the place, and he ends up in the quarters of Doza's daughter, Tora. And that I thought
we haven't seen in a number of episodes.
Since the second episode or something crazy
Which
like that.
I also mentioned, this was the first time we'd seen a number of the racers, even briefly, up in the tower there.
And it was all the people that we talked about we would see eventually, like the TIE Fighter guy with the TIE Fighter helmet. We saw
a woman up there.
Right, that we said we would see later, which we had not seen prior to this.
I'm surprised.
Her name's Freya Fenris.
We're 4 episodes in, and we know very little about these characters yet. And I thought these would be the driving characters behind the series, and they're taking their time in doling them out.
And maybe that's a good thing. That may be a good thing.
I actually think it is.
They may be creating interest in that regard, at least anyway. I thought it was interesting that he ends up in Tora's quarters, and there's all these things in the background that I just grabbed my attention.
I wasn't paying attention.
I was totally it's Gary. Gary's taught me to look at the background of everything I ever watch. And of course, I immediately saw the Ewok teddy bear that's sitting at the end of her bed. Of course, I wanted to fricassee that whole thing. They had Sliced Noodles from the Sliced Noodles band. He was a stuffed animal in the room. I thought it was interesting that Tora's concern was not about the First Order, her father, not anything but your father's gonna find you in here.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, this is like teenage love kind of thing.
Well, that's why she thought he was there.
See you, right?
She says, "I know why you're here. You think that I'm over. You took my friendship for something else." And he's like, "I did." And then there's a knock at the door.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was funny, and I thought her first reaction was to open the window and throw him out, which I thought was funny. And then the next scene was actually kind of funny too. So here's Kaz being stuck on a ledge, and at the bar they can see him.
Yes.
Being stuck on the ledge.
The bar scene to me got better and better because rather than people acting scared or nervous for him, they start betting he's going to die.
Well, they're going to bet that he's going to die, and they're cheering, or they're certain people wanted him to die, others didn't. So I just thought that was a great way to play that scene up.
It was, because it showed that, in a funny way, it showed how people don't really care. He's not the hero that everyone. They haven't made him the center point of the show yet. He's not this person that everyone roots for or wants to be behind. He's just another character.
Not really like a Luke Skywalker type.
And they're treating him that way. They're like, we know him, but he might die. Okay, let's bet on it. I thought that was well done.
Yeah, and I thought Nico's reactions there were like, oh look, he must be having fun.
I thought the funniest moment in the entire thing for me was when people start betting and cheering and like, okay, and Nico raises his hands to like cheer it on, and then looks at the girl, and she's like giving him a dirty look, and he's like, "Oh, that's right, I shouldn't be excited about this."
Yeah, Tam gives him this look like, "What are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you?"
Hey, he's still alive.
And then I thought the only poorly directed part of this whole episode was the First Order troopers coming out trying to shoot him.
The platformer.
Which I said looks like a video game waiting to happen.
Oh, it totally was.
Him running around, trying not to get shot.
Why do they have these platforms built along the wall like that?
So you can have a video game. I just said that. But you're right. It made no sense having these weird platforms. And then, of course, the savior of it all, BB-8, opening a door. And I kind of saw that coming, too.
Yeah, sonic screwdriver.
The sonic screwdriver.
I did notice the little animation, though, that when Chaz hugged BB-8, BB-8 like tilted his head.
I thought that was kind of I was kind of sitting there thinking that was kind of like, there were a couple times that, when I had my BB-8 out at events, the kids would like hug him, and I'd lean him into the kid a little bit, and I was kind of like, oh, look at that. I was doing it right.
That leads me to 2 times this episode. Like, up till this point, I've only seen BB-8 kind of just be like shaking his head at all of it's Kaz, right? Not Chaz? Kaz.
Yeah.
At all of Kaz's actions.
Yeah.
And kind of just being like, well, I'm along for this, but not getting along with it.
Not willingly, yeah.
But in this episode, not only did he fake running out of power to have to go with his lie, he then does that moment. It feels like they're at least being more of a team.
Interconnecting a bit. Yeah. So long story short, they get out of the tower.
Yep.
And they get
safely back to the hangar.
And that's...
The First Order comes up and tries to talk to Doza.
Right.
And say, well, you had a spy. And she says, no, it was just a friend of mine who got lost up here. And to cover for his daughter, he says to the First Order, just get out of here. How dare you falsely accuse someone. Right.
So, long story short, we get back to the station. Power gets restored. Of course, everybody thanks Doza and for doing his job, and Niku's happy because he gets to work again at full power and everything. But then there's this at the very end, this last scene where Doza's looking at a picture of Kaz.
Video surveillance,
trying to figure out who Kaz might be.
Yeah.
So what do you think Doza's concern is with Kaz?
Well,
he's a spy and he's heard something?
He clearly knows that his daughter was kind of making up a lie. He just went along with her at that moment. But he clearly knows that whoever this is, he's here for another reason. I think he's trying to start figuring it out.
Okay. All right, so I guess, how'd you guys feel about this episode? Like, as far as quality, as far as the storyline, everything in this episode, did you guys like it? Did you not like it?
Well, it was a lot better than some of the previous episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll give it a 3.
Is that your official rating? You're going to give it a 3?
Yes,
okay.
That's my official rating.
We're going to do our 0 to 10, 0 being don't bother, 10 being a must-see.
The only reason why I'm giving it a 3 is we got to see the other pilots.
Okay.
And the shots with the Aces bringing in the space whale. And all that. That's what I liked about the whole thing.
Yeah.
The rest of it, meh.
Okay. Eric, what would you rate this one?
I'll go high. I'm going to go like a 6.
Okay.
I I can't give it like marks up into the 8s and 9s or even 7 to say, wow, this is exciting. You really got to get into it.
Right.
It moved the story along. It had some humorous moments. It never overplayed its hand too much. I mean, we had the foreshadowing that was a bit too strong. And the acting, which was, like I said, that bit too much of a grand parody acting, so it really conveyed the lie or the joke or whatever. Mm-hmm. But overall, they set up some neat moments. I liked the idea of sneaking in the comm, which I didn't think how he would use it. I liked... but I liked a number of things like that. However, when you look at the overall episode, how much did we learn? The entire episode was really... He overhears something. I mean, that was the entire episode, was Kaz overhears the First Order saying, hey, Tadoza, team up with us. I mean, that was it. Right. Everything else is kind of filler to stretch it out into a half hour of telling the point he overheard something.
Right.
It didn't... I didn't feel like there's, again, a story progression that warrants this half hour. I mean, we're 5 episodes in now.
Right.
And in those 5 episodes, I still don't feel like anything much has happened. We've had a little racing, we've met some characters, and we had a little more racing, and Kaz did some stupid stuff, and we had a little more racing that we're not even in, we're just watching from the platform. We're not even seeing the actual whole race or getting a sense of drama of it. And now the First Order showed up. 5 episodes in, the First Order for the first time parks and comes in and does a little talking. Not a fight, not an action scene. For Star Wars, for being a Star Wars movie, it's moving really slow. Mm-hmm. You know, this is in the Star... And I know they have to fill out a whole season, but come on, you can do more than this.
I mean, even Rebels move faster than this, at least.
Rebels at least. And they had... But here's the problem. These guys wrote themselves into a corner saying, we're going to do everything on this platform, and you can't blow up the platform in the first weekend. You can't have a major battle happen there and destroy things, because then what the heck do you do with the rest of your season?
It's the Deep Space Nine problem of Star Trek.
It's the Deep Space Nine problem of this
until they found the Defiant.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that's like, I've heard other people who are much farther along than we are saying, something's got to happen here, or, you know, I'm gone. And I'm thinking, my God, we have all these episodes to watch, and that's what we have to look forward to?
Right.
So... I have a feeling that they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with this one, thinking that the character work and the visuals and stuff would keep people. Right. And for Star Wars, you need more than that.
I was going to give this one, actually, a 5. I'm shooting straight down the middle because, as you said, Eric, it's not a must-see. It had some interesting parts, but it's not an awful... Like, it wasn't like last episode. I mean, the last episode was just awful for me. To the point that I was like, do we need to keep doing Resistance? But I was like, all right, you know, stay for the course. We got to do it. Everybody said the same thing about Clone Wars, and I hung on past the first season, and it got so much better as it went. And, you know, this show, I don't know. There are moments where I have misgivings. The blocking for the stupid Stormtrooper moment was just awful for me. That was dumb. I mean, that was totally stupid.
I mean, I didn't know you could be fast enough to dodge their stun shots.
Right.
Like to duck to the side.
To duck to the side and miss it.
It's like a smoke circle coming at you slowly or something.
Right,
Those things were supposed to be faster than that, so it surprised me.
Right. So, you know, you have those moments. You have moments where, like... So Kaz gets caught with the comm links, and he's like, catch him, and they're running. I mean, he's halfway down the hall before they even start taking off after him. Do they really need to wait for him to say that? I mean, like, part of me is like, you should have been running after him already anyway, and he probably saying catch him, and I'd have been down the hall if I were a true soldier, you know, for the First Order. I don't know, that part just seemed crazy to me and a little far-fetched. And there were a couple moments like that, you know, but at the same time, I'm also sitting here saying, man, it was really easy for Kaz to find out the First Order was coming onto the base. I mean, they just marched themselves right in, and I get that there was supposed to be a curfew, but who the heck was enforcing it? Because everybody's out and about, it seems like.
The whole point of the curfew seemed to be just a line, you know, just to cover themselves.
Right, and
as
so
to how the First Order could come in.
So the fact that they were like trying to secretly meet, they're not secretly meeting with nothing. Everybody knew the First Order's coming in, so that didn't make any sense to me either. I would have liked it better if a ship came in to deliver fuel. What came off the ship was maybe these big cloaked aliens that looked different. They walked in, they get into a room where there's nobody, and then you see the cloaks open up. Right, and then they come out.
The people, and they've snuck on.
Or even if they just had like fake canisters of fuel coming in, and all of a sudden they crawl out of a canister of fuel
again,
or
that
something.
I could see where that doesn't fit with the First Order's way of doing things. They don't hide.
I guess not. Yeah, they don't hide.
So, you know.
But they did to an extent, because the ship that came in was supposed to look like a fueling ship, and they all thought it was until the ramp came down. I don't know. It was just weird. It kind of contradicted itself the whole time.
Yeah,
At least in that regard.
You think the First Order would come in their ships with a show of force and be like, hey, you're going to do what we want now.
Like, bring Kylo's ship in, even if Kylo's not on it. You know what I mean? Why not? Why not? There's fear behind that ship, so use it. I don't know. There's a lot of things that, at least in that regard, did not make a lot of sense to me. And so that's why I would give it a 5 and not a 7 or an 8 to say, hey, there was something really cool here. And like you said, there's not a lot of story here. And here's the other thing. The whole reason that Kaz was sent there was because he was supposed to be a spy. Well, now he has information. So why isn't he clamoring to send this back?
Well, he did say he said to BB-8, we got to get this to Poe.
I get it.
I'm wondering if he's going to try and contact now. The next episode is going to be, I got to contact Poe.
I hope, but, I don't know, considering the show and the way it is.
The next episode is going to be, he joins the intramural basketball league that takes place on this thing and has to make friends with Phazon during playing basketball so he can become a member of his crew and eventually race.
Become the water boy for the basketball team,
And they have to face off against the Moonstars.
Yeah, the Moonstars.
Okay, so those are our thoughts in this episode.
Wasn't that the stuff from...
that was from the...
Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Space Jam.
Yeah, Space Jam.
Oh,
Space Jam. Yeah, the Moonstars. What am
I'm thinking of the Moonanites.
Okay.
Can you hear this? I shall turn it up for you.
Nobody saw that, right?
On video, sorry.
It's okay.
Pixelate that out. But those used to be my favorite characters.
So there's our thoughts on this. I don't know where else to go with this. That was our thoughts on Star Wars Resistance. Let us know what you think. Again, head on over to Twitter or Facebook. Find us on YouTube and
Smoke Signals.
Yeah, or just send us a nasty email if you want because you enjoyed this episode.
Or tell us in person, Hondo.
Which we might see soon. He might actually be right in this studio like tomorrow. You never know. Ooh, Hondo, that's right. Yeah, Ned, where are you? Huh? He's coming up here in the studio. Gonna see it. See all this cool stuff around us. Where are you? That's right. I just laid the gauntlet down for Ned now. Okay, so like we like to always say here in the Star Production Studios, may the Force be with those who listen.
Because watching Resistance isn't as fun as listening to us.
Golly. I had to throw it in there. Okay. Well, goodbye there, YouTube land. It was a pleasure somehow talking with all of you. Have a good one.